Hello everybody, we're going to talk through today planting some seeds. Some of you might have done this before, some of you might not have, so we'll go from the beginning. First of all, you'll need these tools. So we've got a pot, any kind of pot. You could have a small pot, big pot. I've got a seed tray here. You may have a jam jar or some other pot at home, that's fine too. You'll also need I've got a trowel here, but you might use a spoon if you haven't got a trowel, or you may have a little spade from a bucket and spade somewhere at home, anything that you can scoop the soil up with. Next, you're going to need some soil. So I've got some soil here, some compost. If you haven't got compost at home, you could use maybe some soil out of your garden. So first things first is you want to have everything you need on the table with you, so you don't have to keep getting up and down. So there's a task sheet that goes along with this activity. If you want to download and print off the task sheet, or you could use it on the computer, So there's a task sheet that goes along with this activity. You can either print it off from your computer, or you could use it on the computer. There's a range of skills that we're going to be using today. Firstly, following instructions. Second, we're going to sequence those instructions after we've done our activity. We're going to be measuring, so we can measure the seeds, measure the spaces between the seeds. You're going to be reading your instructions. You can also write after each step of your activity. Then, dependent on how you're feeling at home, you can either work independently, which is a fantastic skill, or you could work as part of a team with somebody else, which is also a great skill to use as well. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to take a seed tray. Like I said before, you might want a pot or any other item in your house that you think you could put some seeds into. Okay, want to make sure our soil is quite fine. We don't want big clumps of soil, or else our seeds can't push through it. We want nice and smooth for them. I'm going to take my trowel or your spoon or whatever you've got. You can use your hands as long as you wash your hands afterwards, that's fine too. I'm going to take my soil and I'm going to spread it into my seed tray. You can make sure your soil's covering the whole of your pot or your tray or your jar or whatever you're using. Remember, you can do this inside or outside. If it's nice weather, you might want to go into the garden. If you haven't got a garden, you could do it in your kitchen, on your balcony, even on your front door, if you just want to get out and get that fresh air. Okay, you can see we've got a nice smooth layer of soil there. You want it all the same level. Okay, next step is I'm going to get my seeds. If you haven't got any seeds at home, that's fine. You can find seeds in other places. So you could use a tomato. If you've got a tomato in the fridge, you can cut the tomato open, use the seeds out of a tomato. If you've got any strawberries at home, strawberries have little seeds all around the edge of them. You can pick those out and use those as seeds. Okay, I'm going to use some pepper seeds today because I know not everybody's going to have seeds at home, which is fine. As I said, we can use things that we've already got in our house. So I've taken a piece of pepper, and inside you will find lots and lots of little seeds. Okay, so if you're doing something like this where it doesn't have instructions for how big to space, I would say give at least 2 centimetres. So you can either use a tape measure if you've got one at home, or you could use a ruler, or you could use a piece of string that's measured out to the right length. I'm just going to use the end of my finger because from here to here I think it's about 2 to 3 centimetres. Okay, so I'm going to take one seed, I'm going to pop it in the soil there. Really good for your fine motor skills. I'm going to measure it with my finger so I know I'm going about there. Make a little indent with your finger. And then we're going to pop another seed on. Okay, and we're going to keep going, trying to space them about 2 centimetres apart. Not all the seeds will grow. So if you get a few in one spot, that's fine as well. Okay, so I've put the seeds in. Hopefully you can do the same. If you need a bit of help doing that, that's fine. You can see they're not perfectly in lines, and that's fine. We've just scattered them around, but made sure they're about 2 centimetres apart. Okay, our next step is that we're going to put a fine layer of soil over the top, and that means just a little tiny bit. If we put too much, then the seeds can't grow through. Okay, so just a little tiny bit. So I'm going to take some more soil on my trowel. I'm going to sprinkle some soil over the top of the seeds, nice and gently. Okay, so as I say with my PFR green group, we've put the seeds to bed and we say goodnight seeds, because it's a bit like putting a blanket over the seeds, letting them rest and grow. If you've got any big clumpy bits like I have here, try and scrunch them up in your hand. Just makes it easier for the seeds to grow through. Okay, for watering, we don't want big heavy water on there because it's going to push the seeds apart. So what I use, if you haven't got a watering can, which I have got one but I haven't got the end on it, so I use a milk bottle with some holes poked in the end of it. And this creates a really fine sprinkle of water. And a fine sprinkle of water, give those seeds a really nice drink. So our seeds need 3 things to grow. They need water, they need their nutrients or their food, that's the soil, and there's one other thing they need. Do you know what that is? Sunlight. They need some nice warm sunlight to grow. So we're going to put this tray out in the garden, or you could put it at your front door, or you could put it on your windowsill, anywhere where it's going to be nice and warm and it's going to get some sunlight on it. Okay, so the skills we used, we can go back now and check whether you think you did them or not. If you had the instruction sheet in front of you, did you follow the instructions? Did you read your instructions? Did you listen to the instructions from me? Did you use any measuring skills, whether you was estimating using your fingers, or was you using a tape measure or a ruler or a piece of string or ribbon to measure out that? Did you work independently or did you work as part of a team with somebody else? That's fine. Next up, we have a task sheet. The task sheet is whether you can sequence that activity. Do you know what went first, next, and last? Can you write about the activity? Can you write what you planted? Can you write how you planted it? Can you write what the first steps were you did? How did you keep safe? How did you keep clean? Thank you for listening. I hope you really enjoyed that little activity. You can either do it in the sunshine out in the garden, you could do it inside if it's a bit of a rainy day. And remember, you can use anything that has seeds in your house. So brilliant if you've got a packet of seeds somewhere, if you've got a packet of seeds in the drawer or in the shed or in the garage, maybe that you've never used. But if you haven't, remember that you could use a pepper or a tomato or anything you've got in your fridge or in your fruit bowl that might have some seeds in. Okay, look forward to seeing everything you've done.